we have got another segment
Right.
of classic exposure, which is what I like to call it, but Dee Dee likes to call it, I can't believe you haven't seen that film.
Yeah. What are you
I can't
thinking?
believe it's not butter.
Yeah, this is where we get our wonderful producer Jessie Aiton to have a look at a movie, a classic film that she's never seen before. And we thought, what better time to get her to watch the original
This is
Star
terrible.
Wars film.
Poor Jessie. I
No,
feel
not
so
poor Jessie.
bad
Because
that she had to do this.
a lot of people haven't seen the original Star Wars
So
film.
this is episode 4, A New Hope,
A New Hope.
made in 1977.
Made in 1977, and Jessie saw this film for the first
Wow,
time.
wow.
When, Jessie?
I saw it last night.
This is the music that plays when Jessie comes in the building and we're sitting at our desk going on and she's
terrified.
here.
It's
We've
actually-
got everything right. The newspaper's in the right
actually-
spot.
Dee Dee, quick.
It's
Here.
actually-
Are our headphones all neat
It's
and
actually
clean?
from The Empire Strikes Back, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, this
I'm
is Jessie walking through.
5'4" of pure terror.
It doesn't matter, but when you wear a Star Wars cape, you automatically just grow in stature.
Well, yeah, exactly.
She's most displeased with her
Now,
attitude.
you saw the original Star Wars film
Okay, Jess.
for the first time.
First time last
night.
And
Okay.
And I was really, I have to say, quite intimidated to review this because it's such a cult classic. And I felt the pressure was on. And I gave it 5 stars. So, sorry,
Dee
Dee
Dee's
Dee.
well,
For sci-fi, I gave it a 5-star rating.
All right.
Yeah. If you're going to go sci-fi, this is the way to go. And I decided, I'm the first to admit I'm not a sci-fi girl, but if I'm going to be asked to watch and review Star Wars, I may as well watch this one and allow myself to get swept up in those horizontal credits at the start, because Dee Dee, it's impossible not to.
Look, that's okay. I didn't mind the credits. No, that's me vomiting. Yeah, the credits are pretty good, and they're iconic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
My takings from it, because obviously watching it in 2016, it's dated quite a bit, but for the time, this must have been an absolute game changer in terms of cinema.
You're right.
It
it
must
was,
have
yeah.
been in terms of the special effects and just the whole. I mean, it's iconic. It's completely iconic. The characters are iconic. I was really taken by the music score as well. John Williams. I loved what he brought. I thought that lifted every character has their own little motif, or the Darth Vader we played before, and that made it so much more exciting. Obviously the special effects I watched the remastered version because that was the only one that was available on iTunes. I wish I had watched the unremastered one because
interesting.
I really wanted to see how it was done at the time. I thought that I wasn't doing the movie justice by watching effects that we would put in now.
Okay.
Whereas at the time, I wanted to experience what everyone else would have
Yeah.
in the movie
vibe.
theatre.
Yep.
Yeah, the vibe. And I will say, probably, I know that the story develops over all of the saga series, but in terms of a plot, it's a very basic plot. Like
That's my problem with it.
Yeah,
And that would be my question to you. Could you follow what the story was?
I could just, only because a lot of it was quite jargonistic. They're talking about like fighter pilots and galaxies, which is not my forte. But once I decided that there was no plot, I was like, okay, that's not going to be this movie's strength. You're going to have to get swept up in the other things, which is the fact that he's taken a story about a boy who's wanting to experience more from life, and he's put it in a space setting. So he has conversations that we would have with his aunt and uncle. They have dinner together. He has dreams. And it's not just all this overwhelming aliens everywhere. Like there is that. But there are just very relatable parts to it as well, like the sorts of things that he's wanting to achieve in his life, the conversations that he has with the uncle, how they're trading metal, they're working in importing and exporting. Like it's really, I found that was why people would get swept up, because he's telling a story but just in a different setting, if that makes sense.
And were you surprised to see Harrison Ford?
Yes, I was really very thrilled to see Harrison Ford.
It's kind of because you forget that he's in it. Yeah.
You do forget that he was in it.
And do you now see Carrie Fisher in a different way? Do you see now why people go bananas over her?
Yes, and I didn't realise how much of a feminist character Princess Leia was. And because she's really just holding her own in a galactic sense.
And at the time the movie came out, that was unusual.
That's 40 years ago.
That would have been incredible.
Yep.
It absolutely would have. And I know that George Lucas cast mainly unknown actors in this movie. I liked Carrie Fisher. I loved Harrison Ford. But, I mean, Darth, what a character. Like,
It's a great evil character.
It's a great intro, isn't it?
It's a great evil character.
a villain. He's just pure evil, and I love... Yeah, I did love him, and it was impossible not to get swept up. I didn't realise how comic it was. There are lots of comic elements. I
That's
thought
true.
it was
Yep.
The scene in the bar with
the bar scene.
with the weird creatures all playing instruments, and when that came out, that was actually made into a disco tune.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember dancing to it with squares on the floor, and all thinking we were terrific. And
Absolutely.
that was a groundbreaking scene.
Yes.
Will you have a look at these freaks from outer space all playing and
Yeah.
having fun in this
Yep.
bar? Who
And
goes
he-
to a bar with people like that there?
He spent a lot of time telling this. He spent a lot of time setting up that scene by showing different characters in conversation with one another.
Yeah.
And just setting the scene for us a bit. And you've got this variety of how they look and the languages that they speak as well. I was very impressed with the languages that each sect of alien has. But I loved that scene, and I know it's a very famous scene because of the hokey pokey music and the fight breaks out. But that's what I mean. Like, you're in a
Dance to
galactic
that.
space war, but they still have bars. So it's again
Yeah.
another example of how a bar fight will break out. The fighter scene at the end, bit long.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, you got to
For a
remember
long time.
this was like 40 years ago we were watching that. And just to independently verify what you were saying about the look of the film, about how it must have looked back then, I remember the one comment that kept coming back from everyone who had seen the film about what do the effects look like. Everyone said the same thing. Again, you wouldn't say it now, but back then we all said, it just looks so real.
How they're
It
doing
looks real.
Yeah.
If you had spaceships flying around, if you had hovercraft on your farm,
Because it
this is
wasn't
what they
that
would look
long before this film that films had come out with the Spectrum, and people saying, "Oh, it's a model." The guns of Navarone, they weren't
Exactly.
guns.
Yeah.
That looked really lousy.
Can
Great film,
I
though.
ask you, Jess, just how you responded to two things?
Yes.
One, how did you respond to the fact that all of the ships and the sets and all the rest of it, they weren't gleaming and shiny. They all looked used and bumped, and they had grime on them, and there were dents in them. Did you
liked
like that idea?
Yeah, I did. I think it makes it more authentic.
Also, I want your response to that one moment in the film where Luke is on the farm and they're just powering down, and he looks into the horizon and you see the double sunset.
That was such a beautiful shot. And there are a few beautiful shots like that when they're walking through the sand dunes. But the double sunset is gorgeous. And I thought it was beautiful. It was very beautiful. And it was just that moment of him chasing his dreams and where he would rather be. And it was very subtly done, I thought.
Okay,
in a nice
well,
way.
you've given it a 5, Jess.
I have.
A
That's
film, I can't believe she hasn't seen it, but she has
Yeah.
now. Are you now going to see The Empire Strikes Back?
I think
yes or
I
no?
will.
Okay,
Yes,
you
I will.
hooked. She's
And
gone.
I'll just finish by saying, because both of my brothers are of 40s vintage, so they're both in their 40s. So they were around when this was released. And I rang them after I'd watched it and I said, what do you remember about this film when it came out? And both of them independently just said how exciting it was for the time. And one of them said in particular, he was at the movie theatre and the horizontal credits came up and he was so overwhelmed at the excitement of it that he burst into tears. But I think that that's what it's about.
Yeah.
Just getting
I agree.
swept up in the excitement of it. And it was a game changer.
Yeah.
It was. And that's...
Excellent review.
That's outstanding review.
Interesting,
That's
Jess.
absolutely brilliant review.
Multitasking. Produces
Jess.
break and does movie reviews as well. Thank you.
Thank
It's
you.
just interesting to
That's
get
excellent.
a
It
new
is.
perspective on it.
Now, what would be really interesting, Jess, given that this is the first Star Wars film you've seen, is if the second Star Wars film you see is Rogue One, which happens immediately before
Yes.
the events in this one.
Well, I think I want to watch them in order that they came out so that I've got the same experience as
As we
everyone
said.
else.
Sure.
That's what I
Don't
think.
get too confused.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you so
you,
much,
Jess.
Thank
Jessie.
you for having
Thank
me.
you.
Let's
we
take a
actually
break.
have an email from George who says that, hi Jim, Dee Dee and Grubby, you shouldn't be watching for the first time in numerical order or the best reveal in Empire Strikes Back is lost. Numerical order is sacrilege. So he's saying the same thing.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
watch them in the order. that
Great
they're
note.
going.
Great note.
We need to take a break. Jessie, thank you. That was fantastic. Very
Thank you for
interesting.
having me.
And we'll be back with more movies with Jim Shembry on the Weekend Break.